I'm going to go over the Charlotte, half of the dual deck that I built from Curse of the Frozen Casket cards. I already discussed in the previous video the Mars deck. Here in this video I'm going to discuss the Charlotte deck. The Charlotte deck is a white blue deck with fairy tales. So it's got a fairy tale theme, and it's got blue for the things that blue does in Force of Will, which is it'll draw you some cards. So I've got things that draw cards, some deck manipulation, and then some control, and then some stone restriction. But other than that, it's really a white fairy tale deck. Maybe with something like Grim from the first set, I could turn it into like a pure everything is a fairy tale deck. I haven't thought about that too hard, but right now this is what I have for Charlotte. So what does Charlotte do? Let's go for the ruler side. It's got Judgment of 1 blue, so that's pretty good. That can happen very quickly. It gives you a little token, Energize, if you go second, so you can have an extra mana to blow once if you go second. And whenever you discard a card, you can rest a target resonator. So you can do that to really make sure that your opponent's dudes cannot block you. That's pretty good. It only costs 1 blue, and you're in Fairy Tales, and Fairy Tales have this card, which I should discuss now because it really is very much linked to Charlotte's ability, which is put any number of target Fairy Tale Resonators from your graveyard on top of your deck in any order, and then draw a card. So yeah, you can discard to Charlotte to Resonators, pay mana or will, and then you can go and fish out all the Fairy Tales and you discard it with Charlotte. That's one thing you could do. Again, I'm probably the world's worst Force of Will player, and so if you've got more strategies for Charlotte, please, I'd love it if you left a comment, and I'll learn something from you, and everybody else will too as well. So this card cannot be attacked as a J ruler. It's a 400, 1200, so it's got a very fat butt. Right, you're not going to really use it as a beater. And then when this card enters your field, draw X cards, where X is 5 minus the number of cards in your hand. So if the number is 0, you get to draw 5 cards, and that's pretty good. When I've modeled this deck, I've had a hard time keeping an empty hand, and maybe Charlotte would be good in a blue-red deck where you're just slinging like crazy. But in this deck, I did find that it bricked a little, so that sometimes when I want to do Judgment, I really did not have an empty hand, which is what I would want to have to maximize the card draw. And then whenever you draw a card, you gain 100 life. I didn't see that much use for that clause. Maybe there's a strategy. I mean, again, there's some of these strategies in Magic. I have not seen them in Force of Will, where every time you gain life, something really good happens in that particular deck. This is not that deck, so I don't really know what to do with that. And then it's got the same ability that it was on the ruler side. 1 blue, discard a card, but this time you return target Resonator to its owner's hand. So it's kind of a control thing to bounce your opponent's Resonators. So that's Charlotte. I'm going to go through the blue cards. So I've got a 1-drop that ended up being a full playset, and all I really want to do with this thing is tap it for 3 and get a card. That's what I really want out of it. I mean, it's not a particularly strong beater. It's only a 100, 500. Again, it's got a fat butt. Then this card, which is very pretty artwork. When it enters the battlefield, I draw a card. That's really nice. Okay, and it's 3 for 600, 600. It's a little underpowered, but it draws me a card. I like that a lot. Then I have 2 of these. I'm not sure if it fits this deck that well or not, but I'm on control. And when you play 3 for this chant, quick cast, it's an instant speed. Your J Resonators gain you tap them, and then when you tap them, you can return for each one. Your opponent returns a target resonator to their hand until end of turn. So that can be pretty good. I didn't put 4 because I thought it was kind of like a side show to the main thing that the deck was trying to do with Fairy Tales, but that can be a very good control move. Then this card I really like. It's not exactly Brainstorm in Legacy Magic, but it's doing something similar. You know, it's doing what I would call what I think would be called a Magic Scry 3. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can put one of them in your hand and the rest at the bottom of your deck. That's pretty good filtering. It's a card. It can be anything. So I really like this card. Then Shackles of Ice, which did see a fair amount of competitive play, at least from the decks that I looked at way back when CFC was in New Frontiers. It's really just a control. I guess it's a little bit. I would call it a pacifism in blue. So for anybody who knows Magic, and so if it's not, well, it's a little more than that. If it's just an addition, it's just an enchantment, it's just sitting on your field, and it's not doing anything else. Players, and that includes you, cannot play Ruler's activate abilities. So that's all players. That kind of freezes everything. It freezes you, freezes your opponent. So you got to be careful how you use it. But when you besto, when you put it on a resonator by paying blue, then this card. Besto Resonator's controller cannot play its activated abilities. So you got 2 choices here. And yeah, so you'd have to pick. There you go. So I have a playset of it. Then a card that was competitive when it was in New Frontiers is Captain Hook. It's a 5-drop, 1,000, 1,000. But that's not the main thing that it does. When it enters the battlefield, you can choose one of the 2 things. You can either put 2 target special magic stones on top of the owner's magic stone deck in any order, or you can return up to 2 target resonators to the owner's control. So you can do one or the other, but I think the 2-stone one is pretty good. I mean, because you're really going against anybody's greedy, what's called mana base, greedy stone base. I think that's pretty powerful, even though right now the card is worth next to nothing, which is very interesting about Force of Will, that once a card leaves New Frontiers, even if it was competitive, it was really good, Wanderer is kind of a dead format, and so you can buy these cards right now for next to nothing, which is shocking to me given how good that is in this game, I think. So in this case, and this card goes well with how you've placed your Fairy Tales from your graveyard on top of your deck. Then, with this addition, at the beginning of your turn, remove the top card of your deck from the game. If it's a Fairy Tale, you may play it this turn. That's fantastic, because if you just put 4 Fairy Tales on top of your deck, you've got 4 turns where this thing is, well, you got 2 turns, because you're going to draw one of those cards, and then the other one's going to come from here into your hand. Or actually, and you're going to play it. You can get to play it. That's great. Now, question for the rules people is, when you say you may play it this turn, I usually interpret that to mean I still have to pay the will cost, and I think that's the case. Otherwise, it would have said you may play it without paying its will cost. And it doesn't say that. So I think you still have to have the will for it. Then your 1-drop, which you're fetching with this guy, and I only ended up putting 3. I started with 4, but after modeling I realized I only needed 3, because sometimes if I was able to play all 4 of these cards and I already tutored with 2 of them, then the 3rd one, but often the 4th one, was kind of dead in my hand as far as being a tutor. So I guess we should talk about the tutor first. All right. So the Peter Pan is a flyer, 500, 600, 3-drop. Not that great, but it's fine. When it enters the field, search your deck for a Fairy Tale Resonator with total cost 1 and put it into your field, then shuffle your deck, it'd be this one. And so there you have it. There's 3 of those in the deck. And then there's a full playset of Dreaming Girl Wendy, and it's a 200-300 1-drop. And when another Fairy Tale Resonator enters the field, if it's not recovered, you can untap it, recover it. And then it gains plus 200 as long as you control a magic stone and control no special magic stones. So it really hurts you if you have dual magic stones. You don't gain the ability. And then as long as you control Eternal Boy Peter Pan, this card cannot be attacked and gains flying. Very nice. I'm sorry, I meant to pull this dude. Yeah. So that's a playset of that card. And finally, last card is a 3-drop Fat Butt 200-1200 Resonator Fairy Tale. When you tap it, target Fairy Tale gains what this card is, plus 200, plus 1200. So there you have it. That's my Charlotte deck. And I chose to go white-blue with it.